Quintus Selaway, better known to you as AKAnundrum. And as always, I know why you're here. You know why I'm here. We are going to be able to tap into the people that I love the most, the unsung, the unheard of, the underdogs of the entrepreneurial community. You get to hear from them, connect with them, learn from them, and be motivated by them here at the Drum Circle Show. That's what we're here for. That's what we do. And so now I am so honored to introduce our guest because I'm just going to spoiler alert. She is a Drum Circle program alum. Yes, so you know you're going to get some jewels there. You know that means it's time to take your pen and your paper out. Get your notes ready, okay? So you know how I do. With no further ado, I'm going to pass it off to you. Let you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your business and how long you've been in. So the mic's on you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jenee Jackson, and my business is It's Just Therapy. And I'm a therapist. I am currently working as an associate marriage and family therapist in the state of California. I have clients throughout the state, and actually, I also have clients outside of the state because I do have sessions virtually. And what I do primarily is I work with people who've experienced workplace stress, and I help people not only navigate toxic work environments that they may be experiencing, but also help them to figure out what else they may want to do with their life. Because a lot of times when people are experiencing toxic environments, it's really not where they want to be anyway. So in talking with them, I help people also pursue their purpose and really live a life that's authentic and unique for them.
I love that. You know how I feel about it, but the timeliness of this, right? You are dealing with people going through what you said is toxic workplace environments. I think at an all-time high of those environments existing and that conversation existing, right? Let's get straight into it. After the shutdown, people developed a new attitude, a new culture, a new concept of work-life balance, what that meant, right? We went
Absolutely.
in and came out new creatures. We saw things with new eyes. And while that did afford a lot of opportunity, there were people who were like, wow, you know what? I can actually do this. I can save money maybe on buildings and on costs and things like that. It also came with some resistant points. Yes. Right now, people are brand new. So please double tap on that. Because what we got? Quiet quitting. I ain't coming back. I'm doing remote. So it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack. And I know people who are watching this, you have experienced this. So please, can you speak to all of this newness in these toxic environments?
Yes, it is a lot of newness going on. And it's actually, like you said, it was precipitated a lot from the pandemic, and people were asked and expected to go home and still continue to work. And a lot of people made that happen. What happened, though, once the pandemic stopped and people were kind of expected to go back to work, is you have a lot of people that are now saying, well, what is the purpose in me going back to work if I was able to do my job for the past 2 years completely remote and from home? And so there's challenges with your employer, right? People are having to now navigate, how do I go back to work? Do I want to go back to work? And then also, not only that, but then how do I make this work around my life now? Because I've had to create a whole new life during this pandemic with my kids, with everything else. And now I've got to change it all over again. So that's been a source of contention, right, for employees and employers. And so then you've got people that come back that are not happy about coming back. And so then those are also challenges that people are experiencing. So they're not satisfied. They don't know what else they want to do, but they don't want to be at the job. And that's one of the places that I see people now is like they're frustrated with having to I guess feeling like they're being pulled back and forth, right? They go home, they navigated this, and now their lives are better for a lot of people that were able to work remotely. They like the flexibility. And so then when they had to come back into the office, it's like, okay, maybe I don't want to do this anymore now, because this isn't even for me and this doesn't even work for my life. So now there's a swath of people that are trying to figure out what else I can do, because I don't want to go back to work. And that's where a lot of the clients that I have are. And so I'm just talking with them about not only what else they can do, but how you navigate these things while you're still at work. Because in the meantime, you still got to go to work. That's the case for a lot of people. A lot of people aren't able to just say, hey, okay, fine, I'm done. They still got to come in and go to work every day. So then it's like, how do you manage your attitude, right? Because I'm not happy now, but I still have to come in and show up every day and do my job. Or I may feel like there's a target on me now by my employer. And so what do I do about that? And so those are some of the things that I talk with people about, is like, how do you navigate these things until you get yourself to where else you want to be, so that you can move more strategically in your life and you don't feel like I'm just reacting to whatever is happening to me. I'm now actually doing these things in a more dedicated and intentional way.
Yeah, I definitely, let me tell you, anybody who's followed me, they know I had a lot to say on this subject matter, right? Yes. Especially the quiet quitting.
Yes.
Because when I, peer back and I said, okay, let me zoom out of this. Although I know this is very personal, we have to take a zoomed out, in my opinion, perspective of this. And I literally saw the flow of what was going to be inevitable. It almost feels like a rug pull of sorts, right? We saw that, we've been trained, we've been primed for a work culture here in the United States. Okay, we have a work culture, and that's been with us for generations. It's in your muscle memory. It is just what you do. You get up and you go. And those that were doing it remotely, they were like foreign creatures to us. We were like, what are you talking about? You didn't take them seriously, right? We talking about you're at home working. You can't really do real work at home. That's really how we look at it. Work was a place you went to, not just what you did. Right. And so what I noticed was, I said, okay, we got this new dilemma. I knew that it was temporary in terms of this is situational, but how that was elongated out. What does it take? 21 days to develop a habit? Okay, you're going to put people in house for 21 months plus. Yes. So they are definitely new creatures. They're seeing a new side of life. They're seeing things in a way that they've never seen. Where now, when you try to put those constraints back onto those people, it just feels weird. I'm gonna keep honest with you guys. Even wearing clothing, like for me, was weird. I was wearing pajamas and comfy clothing for so long. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Remember the first time I went out to like the airport and stuff, it was like, Jesus Christ. Like I all the things that never bothered me, irritated me before, they did. So I definitely could understand what people were going through on a personal level, but I also saw the darker side. Yeah. I saw that this was going to give people a false sense of empowerment over corporation. Because the one thing that we know is that there's companies and there are employees. You are far more replaceable and expendable than the company. And so we saw the backlash, right? So now we saw all of a sudden there was a work shortage. I remember when we first came out and they were asking people to come back, there was kind of like, I don't have to, I'm not really sure. And they were holding these companies to it. Like, I'm gonna need some more money. I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need that. And the companies were folding. We're seeing a reversal of that. So now, what are you seeing in terms of that narrative is now spinning the block, it's changing?
It is changing. And I think that, with social media, they kind of push trends, right? Like you said, they were pushing, you saw a group of workers pushing the whole quiet quitting trend. And it's like, don't do too much. And I think I also noticed that it kind of clashed a little bit with the older workers, because those people were used to coming in and going to work every day. So then you got two different groups of people that are now in the workplace. And it's like, how do you navigate these two different competing interests? And so what I saw when when people were coming back into the office and then they did the whole quiet quitting thing, and then you saw people starting to be let go, and a lot of people were losing their jobs and a lot of people were being laid off. And so then it's like, okay, I may need to actually comply a little bit more with what's going on. I think employees are starting to, they're understanding they got to come in, but they're still trying to negotiate ways to still be able to flexibly work from home. That's one of the things I see is there's a hybrid schedule happening a lot more now, so that some people can stay home a few days, but then they've still got to come in. And I think people are becoming more agreeable to that, because that is the circumstances that you are in. If you don't have a lot of other options, this is what you have to do. So a lot of employers, I think, are being reasonable with the whole hybrid work schedule. They're trying to be reasonable, but people are still expected to come in. A lot more jobs now are compelling people to come in more days also. So there's also this uptick in people expected to be in the office closer to full time like they were before the pandemic. So a lot of folks started off with this hybrid schedule and they've been eased into the hybrid schedule, but now they're feeling like the rug's being pulled under them with their jobs, because jobs are like, okay, well, we need you to be in here full time now, 5 days a week now. And people aren't happy about it, but I think that's the slow way that the employers are starting to try to get people to come back to work full time, because ultimately, like you said, the business has to be run. Downtowns and offices need to be utilized. So those spaces need to be filled up. And so if they want those spaces to be filled up, they're going to compel employees to come in and ask them to be in more often. So I think if people really don't want to work in the office, they got to start figuring out something else now. Because in a few years, more jobs are going to try to compel more people to be in the office more often than what they are even now.
And here's the unintended side effect, right? A lot of people that you just touched on, you said, okay, if you're not there, those businesses, those areas, those metropolitan areas, those highly trafficked areas, one of the downturns is that they're also not benefiting from that traffic. And so what starts to happen is we're starting to cannibalize. So one, we don't understand as an economy, right? We are an ecosystem. Yeah. And a lot of those businesses and those the workers that are say in your downtown areas and your traffic areas, they are the feeder businesses for those other peripheral businesses in that area, in that community. When you're not there, you're starving out those restaurants and those providers, right? What happens to that? They're going to lay off more people. So now you're decreasing even more job opportunities for yourself or for other workers who are coming in under you, right? So now you're also reducing tax dollars and revenue for your city to even be able to provide alternative means of funding or aid for those who now have job loss. So when you look at it circularly, it's like, wow, we are literally just, like I said, cannibalizing ourselves, because so many of us are looking at this personally, how I'm personally impacted, how I'm personally and affected by this. And a lot of these issues that are coming out of this, I don't think that we're really seeing the big picture from this, right? Now, tinfoil hat moment. All right. Y'all know I got a little tinfoil hat in, so don't act like you don't know if you follow me. Tinfoil hat moment. Right now, too, in this era of AI, job loss. Oh, they're taking our jobs. They're taking our jobs. The robots, the AI, everyone's taking our jobs. So you have that one competing interest. And then now you're also having you're not showing up for work, and you're now we're losing our jobs. That is, to me, what we know as the Hegelian dialectic. So that is going to give me the opportunity for a gem dropping moment. Okay, so as you guys just heard Jenee speaking about the cause and effect, a lot of times we're not really understanding the larger scope to what could be put in place for a reason and a desired outcome. That method is called the Hegelian dialectic. And I'm going to explain it to you super quick, even though it's a pretty complex term, but it's also used in business. It is where an entity or someone creates a problem so that they can then wait for the response from the consumer or whomever their audience is to respond and request a solution, and then they can give you the solution they wanted you to have all along, okay? So let's talk about that from the conspiracy hat moment. A lot of people are saying they're actually trying to get rid of jobs because they're eroding the middle class, right? So now you're going to have more of the elites, the haves, and the have-nots. So how is this going to come about? Where a lot of people are saying, okay, they're purposely, strategically doing things to help eliminate jobs or help us to eliminate our own jobs. So if that's what they wanted, you would think they set something up like this, create an environment by where the workers go home, they're comfortable, because psychologically, they got forecasters and all of these people who know how you're going to respond to this. And also, in that moment, guess what businesses learned? I may not need as many workers as I thought. I may not need you here as much as I thought. A lot of this stuff, if I don't need you here in the building, I could get anybody to do it, right? So what that means is once you put them back in the room together and they're like, the workers are like, I don't want to be here. This is too much for me. This is too hard for me. Well, the businesses are now responding saying, you know what, come to think about it, I can outsource. You're right. You don't have to be here. I can actually go overseas and get that labor done much cheaper with no one in the building. I can also now implement AI and get that done. So now you've essentially gotten rid of your own job, right? So now what happens is they have what they wanted all along. So now a lot of jobs are eroded. And once you are in that position, you're going to take whatever job you can get. You're going to do whatever it is. That just gives them more control. And that's 10 hat full moment, right? But let me show you how this applies in regular everyday business. A bar, they want to sell you a drink. You know how they can do that? If they tell you, come over to our bar, Sunday Night Football, we're going to give you free salty pretzel, free salty nachos, free spicy wings, that's going to make you thirsty. And then what are you going to do? Buy their beer. So they created the environment for your thirst, literally thirst trapped you, okay? Created the environment for your thirst, waited for you to have the thirst, which was the problem, and asked for the solution. And then they're going to give you the beer that they wanted you to have all along. So if you felt like that added value to you, you know how we do. If I drop the gem, you can drop a coin. And 50% of all of your donations are split with the guests. That's right, on the live day. So anything that you guys donate today, Jenee gets half of that. So go ahead on and run those coins. Now, back to the interview. Okay, yes, Jenee, so that, right, 10-fold hat moment. So people are like, oh my God, and they empowered people. They really, and people were feeling themselves. They were like, I'm not coming back. I'm gonna need $30. I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need that. And the next thing you know, the businesses were like, waitresses are walking in and they seeing Jenee Jackson out there with a tray, and they like, wait. Right? They seeing little Scrubby the Scrub janitor up in there. They seeing Flippy on the fries. Okay, they like, wait. And it's happening so fast.
Yes.
Right? So now, do you see that the shift or the attitude has changed in employees that you're talking to? Do you still see that same emboldened resistance? Or are you seeing a little bit more softening?
I don't see as much emboldened resistance. I hear and experience a lot of fear. So a lot of people are concerned and worried. And I think that for a lot of folks, what that translates to is an opportunity to talk about you and your life and yourself and your purpose and what else do you want to do outside of just sitting here and waiting to figure out what else is going to happen with this job, right? Because they're going to do whatever it is. And I think a lot of people are concerned when they hear about AI. They are, like you said, in one point, they were emboldened and they were like, okay, I call the shots. And now they're starting to see, okay, maybe I don't call the shots as much as I thought. And then they hear about AI and they're thinking, okay, well, how long do I have my job now? And so a lot of people are worried about, well, how long will I have a job? I don't even know. What if I get phased out? And so that's a really great segue to talk about your purpose and to think about what else you can do to sustain yourself, so that you aren't just looking at a job, that now you are actually creating something and you are living not just an authentic life, but you're happy and you're, like I said, sustaining yourself. So you're no longer sitting and waiting for someone else to give you an opportunity. You're creating those for yourself. And I think a lot more people are taking that chance on themselves, and they're like, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should, think about creating this business. Maybe I should go back to school and get this certification because I know I can start a business. I've talked to a lot of folks now that are starting businesses, that are segueing from the jobs that they have now and leveraging that into side businesses, and they're trying to grow those businesses. So they're like, listen, I'm trying to work to grow my business because I don't want my job to leave me. I want to leave my job. So that's one thing that I've seen with people, and I think that that's great. I mean, I think it's really a great way to take ownership over your life and to be accountable for yourself, and so that you don't have to wait for whatever's going to happen next, because there's always something new happening now these days. It feels like, it feels like that for people. Life doesn't feel as predictable as it once felt, I think. And in that unpredictability, people are like, okay, maybe I need to do something for me and not just wait for my job.
Yeah, and there's so much uncertainty, right? Because one, when we are in a high inflationary market, what the Fed is going to do is raise interest rates. Why? Because they want to decrease spending. And a lot of people hear that, but not really understanding what that means. Ultimately, they don't want you to have as much money. Right. They have to literally pull back, and what they do is they kind of strong arm companies into layoffs and things like that, because they're trying to recalibrate this economic environment. And so you're going to see now massive layoffs. We're seeing them. And now when you look at any recession, depression, or economic downturn, you're going to see what we call an economic death spiral, where you have the jobs that are laying off. The people have less discretionary income, less disposable income. Right. They stop spending. When they stop spending, businesses close. When businesses close, they don't hire and they start laying off. When they start laying off, people have, and it's just a downward spiral. And so that right there, just the mere fact that we're seeing thousands, I think Facebook has laid off like literally about 30,000 people. I could be wrong, you guys, at this time, but there were incremental like 12,000 and 10,000. I think then another 12,000 or so like that, where they're laying off. And that unpredictability, we just saw all of the yellow jackets from the trucking industry lose their pensions. 30-year pensions. So again, that unpredictability, it's creating what we don't have, that loyalty between employee and employer like we used to have. We used to feel like, hey, I showed up and I did what I was supposed to do. There's some reliability that comes with that, some security. But we're feeling the most job insecurity that we've ever felt. And it was exasperated by them putting that battery in the backs. So the businesses have resentment, employees now have resentment, but I love the word that you kept emphasizing, which was creation. You know me, I'm like the queen of side hustles. I'm not going to be the person to tell you just go and start a business, because to me, that is not the mantle that everyone needs to take on. But I also will always tell you, create an income stream. If one person paid you to do something, it has value. Someone else will pay you to do it. Okay, which means you can leverage out your skills, go direct to your consumer or the person who needs your skill, and then be able to create an income stream for you for that. So now that's a conversation that they're having now with you even more. So can you get a little bit into your education and your background, right? As well as what uniquely places you for this, and then also what you're doing to help people to navigate that new conversation from toxic workplace environment to creating your own work.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I have 3 degrees. I have a bachelor's degree. I have 2 master's degrees. I have a master's degree in business administration and a master's in counseling psychology. And in the psychology piece is something that I've always wanted to do. I actually, as a career, began in human resources. And so I worked in human resources for about 20 years and went as far as I felt like I could go in that area. But I think what that did is working in all those different environments and in the area of human resources gave me this unique opportunity to see workers experience all type of environments, and not only to see what they experience, but to hear what people were experiencing in those environments. And so that's kind of what started that spark for me to continue on and go into counseling to try to help people, because I had seen so many people, and this was like prior to the pandemic, so many people that were frustrated with kind of things like the glass ceiling and microaggressions and all those other type of things, and being frustrated with what else can I do to get myself wherever it is I need to go. So hearing that frustration is what sparked me to want to help people, because it's like, I know what that experience is like. I've seen other people experience it. I've also experienced it myself as a Black woman in the workplace and in corporate America. And so I know that it can be frustrating for people. And that is what the place that I started at, and where I wanted to really say, okay, well, let me take this unique experience that I have of seeing all these different things and talking to employers about how do you navigate your employees. So then I have this opportunity to help employees see things from a different perspective and to give them ideas on, okay, well, if this is what you're experiencing in your job, most likely this is the landscape that you're looking at, right? So now what do we want to do with that? How else can you navigate and move in this space? Maybe this isn't the job for you anymore. Maybe you want to go out and go somewhere else and find something different. And so it's talking about that. But then also, like I said, for people who felt like experience microaggressions, for example, they get really frustrated with the workplace, and sometimes they can be like, I don't know, I guess you could say disgruntled, where it's just like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't like it. And they're very upset about it, rightfully so, but they're upset about it. And so when they're in that experience, that I've noticed, it's like, I don't want to do any of this. What else can I do with myself? You know what I mean? And so that's what people say. What else can I do? And it's like, okay, well, why don't you think about those things that are unique to you? Why don't you think about those things that you're passionate about, those things that you want to do, even outside of talking about money? It's just things that you're interested in, and start to dedicate time into those things, because then you've got to figure out, and that's where you talk about this whole creating piece. And so for some people, you got to start thinking there, because you've been a worker for so long. You got to shift your mindset. It's no longer about, I come in and I do these tasks and get money. It's about, oh, well, how do I find what's in me to give out to others, and then make that something that other people want and that they utilize for themselves. And now I'm living my life and sustaining my life. So it's really about thinking about those things, like, what makes me happy? What am I interested in? What do I do that doesn't even have anything tied to money? What do I want to learn more about? Like, those are the general places that we start. And then from there, it's like you start to dedicate actual time into doing those things, and you put energy into doing those things outside of just going to work. So now you're doing more. You're doing more than just going to work. You may have to go to work and also dedicate time into creating these new things that you're interested in or that you want to learn more about. So that's where it comes into play with this whole conversation about personal accountability and responsibility. So it's like, okay, so now I have to do more than just be a worker. Now I got to think about my life differently. And that's new for a lot of people. And I think people are nervous about it, but I think a lot of people are also excited about it, because they don't want to feel like they're a sitting duck in the workplace.
Yes, and you touched on a couple of things that I love. That one, you have the unique experience of being formally trained, right? And HR and educated in therapy. And I think that that is such a huge differentiator for what you're doing, because one, having that HR background you do have those dual perspectives, right? So being a representation, even though they say human resources is for us, we know that that's corporate shield. So having that and knowing that perspective, when people are on the other side of that, but also being human and being subject to a lot of the offenses and the things that people have come to HR to complain about, you have that dual perspective, which I think is so healthy, because a lot of times people are just in their heads and they're victims, right? Me. And you're able to help give them a little bit of balance with a different perspective. That's why you say, maybe this is not for you. Instead of trying to make this company change and bend and shape shift to what you uniquely need, maybe this is not the space for you, right? Maybe that's an option. Also, like you said, going into a different mindset where, okay, there's not just a checklist of things, right? This is different. I have to be completely accountable for myself. There's a lot that goes into that. We always hear the cliche of like, oh, follow your passion, follow your passion. And I'm telling you, being on the other side of like need that money, we were like, follow the passion. I need to follow the check. Where is the check going? Okay, where is the money going? That's what I need to follow. And people were like, follow your passion and the money will come. And I was like, why do y'all say this is a, and let me tell you, for everybody listening, it's true. It's true. I remember when I had structured everything and it was just like paycheck, like my real thing was the, the money. It's amazing how it was so hard to chase that down, right? You're looking for the KPIs, you're looking for the numbers, you're looking at the analytics, you're looking at the charts and the graphs and the data. And then when I was showing up just doing what I like, what was so amazing is the first time, and most people would say this, you were just giving something for you, like, I just love this, I do this. And then someone offers you a payment for it. And you're like, I don't do this for money. I don't have a payment system. Think about that. Someone literally walked like, hey, can I do a consultation with you? I was like, what? Huh? I just do this. That right there informs you of, oh, snap. So wait, I was doing what I was loving. And then people offered, they're going to offer you, can you come speak? Can I have a call with you? Can I buy you coffee? Can I pick your brain? Those are all the moments where they're throwing money at you for what you do. So that also gives me another gem dropping moment. So speaking of this, what do I do? Right? A lot of you guys have been leaving the workplace and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? Is it drop shipping? Do I chase a trend? Or they're talking about follow your passion and follow your love and all of this. I was asked in an interview, how do you help people do that when they're like, I don't really know what my passion is? I know that takes some work, right? We don't always know like exactly what that thing is in that moment. When you don't, and you're looking for something to just start off, you want to do something that's going to come good and natural to you, because you're going to have enough friction starting this, right? That's already going to be a lot of friction for you. So wherever you can eliminate some of that friction, you want to, which means if you're doing something that's a little easier for you to do, that helps. So how do you do that? Well, here's the ultimate starting point. What is it that you do that your friends or your family or whatever always call on you about? What is that thing? Like when it's time to put on a baby shower or a birthday party, are you the person that they always call? Like, hey, I'm putting this on, can you come organize? Are you the person that they call on when it's time to like cook the food and cook the meal? Are you the person when it's time to organize? Like, what is that thing that you are the go-to person for? Because that is your audience, your friends, your family, whoever, informing you about what they trust you with. That means that you have demonstrated in some form or fashion that one, you're really good at something and you're the authority on it. When it comes down to, they're like, go to her, she's the go, that's what she does. Okay. So if you're just looking for a starting point, and remember, you don't have to create a business. It doesn't have to be your forever business. It doesn't have to be your whole big business. Sometimes these are just side hustles to keep the bills on. Sometimes these are just things that we're using as seed money to fund our real venture. So when you're just looking for that, like, I just need some revenue to come in, lean into what you're good at. And instead of you using your self-bias, because I know y'all be thinking y'all good at everything and you may not be, Let your audience inform you. They're going to tell you what you're good at. Because I promise you right now, nobody booking me for singing, regardless of how good I think I sound. So if you got informed with that, if I dropped a gem, you can drop some coins. Back to the interview. Thank you, Jenee. That was so, I mean, that's so powerful, right? In terms of that transition. And like you said, really having that skill set and that education, it takes you out of just motivational meme maker to like, no, I really does this. I really do know what I'm talking about. I'm not just gassing you up and sending you on this mission, okay? Like they did with everybody else. And you're saying, no, this, because you see the real transition, because you're dealing with the people on the ground every day, right? So what I love is that you're living your advice. So what was that thing? What was that moment that made you launch and say, I'm going to go and create my work?
You know, I think what it was for me was going through those experiences myself. Someone who had for themselves personally reached the pinnacle in their career, like had gone as high as they could go, and realizing that every promotion that I was able to get in my career, I got it through promoting myself. I had to go get another job and get a promotion that way. Whereas like I didn't get a promotion growing in the company because I wasn't given those opportunities. And I would see, and it didn't make sense to me why. And I would hear a lot of people that looked like me with the same kind of complaints. And it's like, okay, well then I need to do something else about this because this does not work for me. I can't keep living my life in this way and having these experiences, and I feel frustrated. So then I don't want to do this anymore. So I'm going to help people and help people figure out what else they can do with themselves, because I talk to a lot of people that don't want to do this. And I talk to people because I think because I have that HR perspective, they would actually say, okay, well, what do you think I should do, you know, about this job? Where else should I go? And so using that and to say and help people figure out something else to do, because I know that sometimes it does mean you have to leave your job, or sometimes it may mean you need to switch your career. But understanding the landscape of what it is they're experiencing and they're explaining it, and it's like, and then hearing what it is they want to do, and it's like, okay, well then it seems like you've reached, you know, all that you can at this place. Have you thought about, you know, going out and looking for another job? If you do you know how to leverage the skills that you have to go get a better job somewhere else? Do you know that you can leverage your skills? Do you know that you can write your resume in this way that stands out for people and that you can, you know, that'll get you that interview that you need? Do you know what you should be saying when you're in the interview? You know what I mean? And really not even those things, but just thinking about what type of a job do I want to go to next? You know, looking at the landscape of the jobs that I want to enter into. I don't want to enter into somewhere else and I'm scared I'm going to get laid off again. That's a challenge for some people. And so, like you said, having that unique experience of doing both, and also knowing that I got frustrated as well as an individual. And I decided to say, okay, well, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'd rather just help people figure out what they want to do, because I don't think anybody should have to experience this. Like I was so frustrated with it. I was like, yeah, anybody that's experiencing this, I want to be able to help them because I know what that feels like. And it's horrible. And so I think that was what it was for me. I really was just like, okay, if I don't want to do this anymore, let me figure out what I really want to do, which was therapy, which was helping people, because I'd always wanted to do that. And so then I said to myself, okay, what else can I do with this therapy thing? Because sometimes it's not just about, you know, I want to go to therapy and have this intense therapy experience. Sometimes I just need to talk to somebody and I just need help to get through this moment. And that's where that whole idea about helping people who experience workplace stress came from, where it's like in a very specific and targeted way, helping you with a very unique thing that you're experiencing right now, and doing it with somebody that can say, okay, yeah, you might want to start looking at other job opportunities, or you might want to start doing this or that. So I think that, yes, I've definitely tried to leverage just the experiences that I've had and knowing how they make me feel and wanting to help people get themselves somewhere else, and to do the same that I'm doing for myself for themselves, to know that you can do this for yourself, and that you should. You know what I mean? Life is about more than just things being dictated to you. Go to work, go get your degree, do this, do that. It's about you thinking about what you want to do. in this short time that we have here. So that's what I wanted to do for people, to really have them have that experience for themselves. I think everybody should. Everybody who wants to, anyway.
I love your why. I love your purpose. I love that you created a solution for yourself that actually becomes a solution for other people. So we are like, everybody listening, I know if you're in this crossroads, right? You are in between this. You are feeling that fear, that anxiety when it comes to your job, because that impacts everything in your life, right? Am I going to be able to pay my bills, my rent, and these things and then they erode our confidence. They erode just like our well-being, that literally creates performance anxiety and stop us from actually showing up in our fullness, which then turns around and we're penalized because now we're not performing as we normally would or as we should. So that is something that I know is a service that a lot of people are looking to, get into. So can you please let us know, let everyone know how they can find you, how they can access you, what resources you may have for them. Please, the floor is yours.
Yes, so there's a couple of things and a couple of ways people can connect to me. And one of them is this podcast that I have. It's called Realness in Chaos. And what I did with the podcast is I just take all different types of things that people experience in the workplace, and I really expound on those topics. And I really try to leave you with thinking about, okay, if this is impacting me, what else can I do next? Because it's more than just identifying the problem. It's about helping you kind of start to see where else can I, go next with this. So that's what the podcast is about. So definitely you could check out my podcast. Definitely you could find me on Instagram. My Instagram name is Jenee's Pen. It's actually spelled JENEESPEN, all one word. And there I just really post a lot of things to encourage people, things that you should know about navigating toxic environments, things that I think would be helpful for you. And, from there, you could access my website where I have some of the same information. I have an ebook that's available for people where you really can learn more about how microaggressions impact you in the workplace and what you can do about that for yourself. And I also have other free resources on my website where I just give tips about tools in ways that you can be strategic at work and how you can control your emotions at work, because all of those things I think are just as important as figuring out what you want to do next. Is how do I navigate the experience I'm in right now? What do I do about this right now? I'm frustrated right now. And so that's what some of those tips and resources are that I have on my website, are things for you to think about in ways that you can take your power back and control your life for yourself. And so all of those things are available on my Instagram page. You can also get them at my website, and it's also the same name as mine. It's Jenee's Pen. And then also the last place you can find me is on Threads. That's the new thing that's out there now, and I've kind of dropped those out as much as I can, little helpful tips for people, but those are the places that you can find me. And yes, I'm going to be creating a support group. And that's going to be for workers who may be experiencing a toxic environment. And it's really an opportunity for you to have not only a space to vent, but then also to, again, get resources and figure out what you want to do next. It's a very short period of time that we work together, because most often people only need about 4 or 5 sessions when they're experiencing things like this. And you can get an opportunity to talk to someone weekly. You start to talk about those things and work through those tools. You get the tools and resources, and then people feel a lot better and they're able to start and move into their next journey. So the support group is coming up as well.
So speaking of sessions, is that something that you offer as well? Consultation sessions, or so they can book?
Yes.
How do they book?
Thank you so much. I do have consultation sessions all the time. People can reach me through my website, and they could book a consultation just to talk to me to figure out what maybe their needs are. But I do have individual sessions that I work with folks, again, just who may be experiencing stress, anxiety right now. Not just through work, but it could be exacerbated by work. And so we do talk, and we have sessions, individual weekly sessions. And you can book those things through my website.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Jenee. I think that too, for people who are watching this, you're getting confirmation. One, you're not alone in this. Two, you don't have to beat yourself up so bad, as much as you guys think that I was beating you up about the quiet quitting thing, but to see the actual orchestration behind some of those things, that this is all by design. You know, this was actually a situation that is largely created, or an opportunity that has been taken advantage of to push through a narrative and a system and a new way of life, or as they call it, a new world order, a new way of being, a new state. This is not coincidental. And so if you found yourself falling for some of the tropes, if you found yourself kind of like following the herd, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? What was I doing? You're not alone. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people who have found themselves in similar situations. This is not something you have to navigate alone. You have people like Jenee who are offering her expertise, her education, and her presence of mind to be there to help you get through that next phase, and taking you on exactly as you are. So whether that is into your next job, or maybe that is into creating work for yourself, she's able to provide those services and give you that confirmation, that listening ear, that soundboard, and that accountability partner as well, to make sure that you get that success to, as she said, take your power back. To take your power back, so you no longer feel as vulnerable, as isolated, and as anxious as you have been feeling, as a lot of you guys have been feeling. So I thank you so much for tuning in. This is a very special interview. Like I said, Jenee is a Drum Circle Program alum. And so these are the type of people that are in this program. This is the caliber of a person that you actually got to befriend and learn about, and have a member, be a member of, be in the presence of. And so if you're interested in that, of course, all that information is down in my bio. I thank you for tuning in, and I cannot wait for you to return and us to get back to doing what we love on the Drum Circle Show. Night night.